Right, hello YouTube. Welcome to a little bit of a special I know from the depths. Sort of recap where we've come to in the series this far. This has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I may or may not have a Warhammer 40k tournament coming up this weekend, and in order to get some models painted in time, have not had very long to record. Definitely nothing to do with that whatsoever. Yes, that is exactly what happened. I've got a tournament coming up. I have not had much time to record, but I want to keep the streak going. I need something that can upload to YouTube quickly, but I also want to give you guys something that you might actually be interested in. So dig a little bit of a video on all the craft we've made so far for the campaign, including a few little behind-the-scenes ones that you guys haven't seen. I think it could be a little bit of fun for a quick thing. I promise I will try and get some proper videos up soon. I'm just a bit short on time at the moment. The tournament's this Sunday, so past that point we should be back to more regular uploads, and I should be able to get a regular episode out tomorrow anyway. So, we had the patrol craft. Small, agile little speedboat with a rapid-fire missile launcher. They're quite high velocity, and this proved a lot better design than I thought it would be. This ran us for quite a decent amount of time in the campaign. It's not even that bad now, it's just very vulnerable to lasers, so it's not very effective against the lightning hoods. Next up, we have the frigate, I believe. Quite a sturdy design. Strange enough, this thing has stuck around for a very long time as well. We've had one kicking around the main fleet that has consistently came through battles. The cram cannon is next to useless. It barely does anything, but the missiles have proven very adaptable. And several times in the campaign we've adapted them to torpedoes to take on undersea targets. Little back octuple gun doesn't do too bad either. Next we have the Special Air Force frigate. This was used to, I believe, chase down a Lightning Hood's craft in our first attempt of the campaign when it was damaged. It did work surprisingly well, but I've never properly made it a full craft in our force. I might do so someday. It did work surprisingly well, but yes, very much a ramshackle, quickly re-rig thing, but it did work. Third up, of course, we have the ever-reliable radar balloon. It's very, very simple, it's very cheap, and it's very effective. And we have the catamaran, a design that despite being quite fond of, we have not used much in the campaign. It was a little vulnerable to just fire in general. But it's not completely useless. And to be fair, the first time we tried to use it was against the Lightning Hoods, where it was a bad matchup. So this may possibly come back into service later on in the campaign, because it was functional. Just a bad match, I think. Third up, we have the... God, what are you called? The fly trap. Try to remember the names. A combination railgun, minigun, helicopter thing. Not tremendously effective, this one. The cannons were quite powerful, but were not the most accurate, and it wouldn't always necessarily get much of a good shot. But another design that we might come back to later. It's just the Lightning Hoods are very good at swatting down small craft quite accurately, so not a good matchup. The cruiser. A bit of a mixed bag if I ever saw one. Looks, I really like how it came out visually. And quite functional. It's reasonably tough from side attack. A little bit vulnerable to getting smashed up, especially the torpedo launchers, but the main gun's quite good at sticking around, and it was quite effective when we first built it, and still reasonably good now, if a bit expensive. Maybe, oh, actually no, 80,000, yeah, it's quite cheap. So yeah, quite a resilient little craft for its cost. The repair Orcinus, it's just an in-game Orcinus with some repair equipment on it. Not much to say here, but it's been a staple little supply and repair craft for us during the campaign. The Minnow Mini-Sub. A fairly spur-of-the-moment creation. Little submarine that shoots torpedoes and sticks a bit too close to the ground. I'm not too happy with this one. I could certainly revisit the concept of having a proper submarine in our forces, but this one was a little bit jank. The, what do we call this one? The Interceptor, our unfinished prototype for a airborne cruiser. Does technically work, does not work tremendously well. It's a bit vulnerable and very ugly looking. I'm not sure what on earth. I'm not sure, well, I know roughly what I was planning to go for with looks, but it didn't come out like it. The Skyray, which for some reason is number 7, which I think is the wrong numerical designation for some reason. This is our current work in progress craft, a giant flying wing with very high velocity missiles, a good top speed, defensive flares, and 2 powerful continuous lasers, or, well, maybe not powerful, but 2 reasonably good continuous lasers. Needs some finishing off. We need to add some better fins on the side for better turning circle. I need to work out why these turning thrusters don't ever work. There's something weird going on with the controls inside this thing, but it is a functional design. And while a bit expensive, it does outpace its competition by the time you factor in 2 of them to fight what it was designed to fight. The Sifter airship. It's basically a flying torpedo launcher, a bit inspired by the one from Homeworld. It's got some guns somewhere, I think. Maybe not. Yeah, it's got some extra guns as well, but really the main firepower is these missiles. They are quite powerful, and it's a good chaser. It's fast enough to maneuver quickly on the map and run things down. So not a bad little craft, perhaps a bit expensive for what it does. It's certainly, I would say at the moment, nowhere near as strong as this for its cost, although I believe its ammunition. Its ammunition usage is higher, but its fuel usage is lower. The Gatherer, our base. No complaints about these so far. Not as much that can go wrong, but they have a decent line of sight, huge resource storage, enough to upgrade to refinery later, not that we've done that yet, and good construction ability. I'd say these are perfectly functional so far. The Hatchet, responsible for the destruction of the Deepwater Guard home base. This was I'm very pleased with the looks of this craft. I'm very pleased with how this came out. It's tough against side attack, a little weaker to lasers, but yeah, this has been a good craft for us so far. It's, again, a little vulnerable to Lightning Hood's lasers, but it's the Deepwater Guard. This was a very scary craft, although it came in a little late. And here we have a lineup of unfinished vehicles. These were some work in progress ones. I figured I'd just show you off quickly towards the end of this vid. The very Mark 1 patrol boat. This is what evolves into the missile boat later. Try going for quite a simple loadout. I don't think I like that turned out in the end. Another variant, supposedly a command variant. I think it's using infrared vehicle transmitters, so it could theoretically have better detection to talk to the others, but again, never used. The laser variant, this was my original plan for the patrol boat. I don't know why I didn't build it first, but the idea of this was it would use two short-range simple lasers. It suffered from bad accuracy, actually. It was quite bad at hitting airborne targets, which made it kind of unviable, given it only had a 500-meter range. It at least had to work at that range, and it just sort of didn't. The missile variant, this is what eventually inspired our finished version. It's almost identical, but for a slightly worse turret. This, I'm not even sure what this was. Artillery Corvette. This was not finished, as you can probably tell. I think I was getting back into the game. I was considering a half wooden loadout like the Deepwater Guard, but I ultimately just didn't like this one and didn't get finished, or just forgot about it. Slightly more finished version of it, the Laser Corvette, is, I believe, the same hull with a laser weapon fitted in it. It was not very good. I've decided just not to use it. I think it was reasonably accurate and not awful damage, but it was not good. It's nowhere near as powerful as the lasers on the Skyray at any rate. Cruiser test, not even finished. I think this was testing out a hull form. Not much to say there. The mini destroyer. I think this is what evolved into the frigate later on. Yeah, this is the one that evolved into the frigate. I'm actually not sure if there was any issues with it or if it was just a bit feeble. I actually don't know, or whether it literally directly evolved into the frigate, but yeah, I think it was maybe just a bit feeble, a bit vulnerable to explosions, but it was a design. It might be one I'll come back to later at some point, but here we have the patrol that accidentally spawned inside the Skyray. This is an earlier version of the Skyray with the earlier laser weapons. I bet you guys have seen that very recently, of course. The patrol boat Mark II. Mark II for our early patrol craft. More powerful, better tracking VLS missiles. Uses a hovercraft style propulsion to pull itself around. It's on hydrofoils. It's reasonably speedy. And a bit wobbly in the water, which actually makes it quite evasive. And of course, last but not least, and also unfinished, the battleship. Very expensive at the moment, apparently. Like, yikes. Wow, that is more expensive than I thought it was. Designed mostly to protect itself through sheer force of armor. Its hull is 3 meters thick in most places. And yes, it does have a few flotation issues, and I might have to address that as I build more of this thing. I believe this will be a good craft for brawling with heavyweights like the Onyx Watch. Or at least I hope it will be, but it's not done yet, so we don't know. But yes, that's all I've got time for this one. Sorry it's not a full episode, but I figured it might be interesting for you guys to see some of the craft that didn't have it appeared in the campaign. And again, it's all I've kind of got time for. I'll try to get back to normal episodes as of tomorrow. But yeah, hope you've all enjoyed this. If there's any any craft you want me to revisit or work on, perhaps let me know, and I can maybe do some of that. There's a bit of an idea of the scale for you. The battleship's by far the biggest, followed by the Flying Wing and then the Hatchet. But yeah, I'll see you guys all again next time. Bye-bye.